What is up, YouTube? That's here, and today I'm back. We're playing some more Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and today I'm taking my very first steps into the UU tier. For those guys who don't know what that is, the UU tier is the secondary main tier of competitive Pokemon on Smogon or Pokemon Showdown. There is Ubers, but normally people play OU, which stands for overused. Then they play UU, which stands for underused. Then there's rarely used, which is RU, and then like not used, which is NU, and then there's like PU, which that stuff just stinks. So today, what I wanted to do was just pick some of my absolute favorite Pokemon that happen to be in this tier and throw a team together. And I would highly recommend, if you guys want to, get into competitive Pokemon, get into any format, I would really recommend just picking some of your favorites to start with. Like, you don't have to win every game, but what you do have to do is have fun. So one of my absolute favorite Pokemon is Torkoal. One of my absolute favorite Pokemon is Heracross. I'm a big fan of Raichu. Mew's pretty cool. I don't use that often, and I really don't think a lot of people are like, that's just one because he's using Mew. You'll see my set, it's not that important. And we're also using Victreebel. Victreebel is super cool, and it's a really good Pokemon in this format. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the team. We're going to look at all my EVs. I'm going to explain my moves and my thought processes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at a ton of replays I have showing off these teams, because I just play a lot better when, I don't have to cast all these games, and I can explain my thought process a little bit more. We can break it down turn by turn. So hopefully we can all become better players at the same time. So here's my Torkoal set. That looks weird, right? Why do I have 136 points in Torkoal? First of all, EVs are set at level 100, so it's going to be a little bit different than level 50 EVs, so 136 actually does give us points. But what does 110 give us? 110 lets us outspeed a lot of Pokemon in this format. It lets us, numero uno, outspeed what I think is the best Pokemon in this format, which is Quagsire. You can see I'm actually also using one. Quagsire has the Unaware ability, so it's going to make it so every time your opponent gets stat boost through the use of like Shell Smash, Nasty Plot, Swords Dance, Dragon Dance, it completely nullifies it and basically takes damage as if they have no boosts. So if they basically waste their time getting boosts, I come with my Quaglad and I just wall them out. And you can see Quag's at 106 at neutral, and a lot of people are not going to be putting points in Quag because, first of all, I'm using Curse Set, which is actually, I think, pretty unique. But Quag's just not very fast. But you need to outspeed Quags. I even went a few points over to make sure I outspeed other people that are trying to win Quagsire speed ties, because Quagsire does get toxic. It's another reason why I'm running a rest Quag, because I don't want to get toxic. It's one of the few Pokemon that still keeps toxic as a TM move. Actually, it's either a TM or an egg move, but not many mons get toxic in this format, which used to be a main staple of UU back in the day. Anyways, back to this Torkoal. It outspeeds not only Quagsire, but it outspeeds Rhyperior, it outspeeds Gastrodon. A bunch of Pokemon in this format actually have grass weakness, which is why I thought Torkoal Victreebel could be really good. And another little small tip, if we're going to talk about people getting into competitive play, if you want to get into competitive play and there's a Pokemon that you really like, what I would highly suggest is going to Pokemon Showdown, typing it in, like right here. I'll just make a brand new thing right here. So new team right here. Be sure to set the format to whatever format you're going to play. Doesn't really matter. Anyways, BDSP OU. Let's just do OU. Select a Pokemon. We select Victreebel. Right? You should be actually playing Victreebel in the format that it's in. See, RU. I should probably be using an RU team, but I wanted to use Torkoal as my Sunsetter. And you can see Torkoal's UU. So that's why we're playing UU. And so basically the point that I'm trying to make is play in whatever tier your favorites are in. Don't try to force a Pokemon that's really bad to be an OU, because you're going to be in for a bad time. That's why we're playing a lower tier. But anyways, yeah, I really love the Torkoal set. It outspeeds things like Quagsire, Rhyperior, Gastrodon, and can get those free wins on those Pokemon because they will totally come in to fight our Torkoal. I also think Torkoal's a really underrated rock setter. There's some really good hazard setters in this format, most notably being Fortress. We can switch in and pin those every single time. We have the potential Rapid Spin ourselves. Lava has a 30% chance to burn, and the 80 points in special attack are to guarantee KO Quagsires, Rhyperiors, and Gastrodons. You need just a little bit of special attack investment, but we're still going to put our nature into defense because you get a 10% boost to your nature. 10% to a 140 base is still a lot better than a 10% boost to an 85, so it's better and more efficient to make our EVs better look like this. So really cool set. Let's move on to Victreebel. Victreebel is really cool. It's a poison type, so we can use Black Sludge, which we'll actually talk about Black Sludge. It's so much better than Leftovers because if I'm a poison type, which I am, I get Leftovers recovery. But if my opponent happens to trick me or something like that, and they are not a poison type, they take damage in 8th. So they take a lot of their health every single turn, which is really nice if you can read the trick coming. But anyways, this is our set. Sludge Bomb's great, Energy Ball's great, Weather Ball is what we use this thing for, and this is why I use it over Venusaur. Venusaur in Sword and Shield has Weather Ball, but it doesn't have Weather Ball in this game. Victreebel's always had Weather Ball, I think, as long as that move's probably since Gen 6, I would say at least, Victreebel's probably had Weather Ball. So Weather Ball's super cool. If I use Torkoal to set the sun and then go to Victreebel, now my Victreebel can check steel types, right? That's super, super good. And it doubles the power and then gets like the stab boost on top of it. It's a super, super strong attack. We also have access to Sleep Powder. Very, very good option. So it's like a special attacker, sweeper, setupper, super cool mon. I love Victreebel, and it makes a great switch in for a lot of stuff as well. Let's take a look at the Quaglad here. Most Quagsires do not run this set. This is my personal Quag set, and you can actually see I can't hit things with Storm Drain or Water Absorb. I just can't. But what I can do is force those things to realize they can never break me. I can PP stall them out, and I can wait out their problematic moves that will allow my Victreebel, my Raichu, my Heracross, and my Mew to actually win the game. So this thing is like unkillable, and we're going to feature a lot of games where we just go into this guy and say, like, tough noogies, everybody. I have a Quaglad. So very, very good mon. Unaware is an amazing ability. I like Raichu. I think Raichu is one of the Pokemon that got the biggest buffs going into this gen. Keeping Scald from Sword and Shield is great. 30% chance to burn lets us check ground types. So if I'm using Thunderbolts and Volt Switches and you bring in your ground type, I just start scalding that thing. Super, super cool. After a +1 from Calm Mind, this thing's a big sweeper. So it also has a really niche speed tier. I decided to just go full speed because there are a few popular base 110s in this format that I wanted to outspeed. And again, this is just a Pokemon I wanted to use, which is why I'm using it. I got to top 5 in OU earlier on in BDSP using Raichu. So I still think it's a very, very underrated Pokemon. But Raichu's kind of always been like a good Pokemon in UU. But let's take a look at the rest of the team. Very simple EV spread here, though. Very simple EV spread right here as well. This is my favorite Heracross set. A lot of people are like, that's it, why aren't you using Flame Warp? So you can use Guts. It's a +1 attack boost, and it makes it so I don't have a Sash. And it puts a dot on me, a negative dot. Not a big fan of that. All that for a +1 attack when you can just get intimidated. It's not really worth it, in my opinion. Never has been. Moxie's an okay ability. Let's take a look at our abilities here. You get a +1 attack boost every time every single time you KO something. But again, I kind of want to run Sash, and if I'm already running Sash, and I know that my Sash is going to get clocked, I don't think there's a problem with running Swarm. I think it's a very underrated ability. And a lot of things are exactly calced, like Uxies, Cresselias, things like that, to be able to not die to the Mega Horns and stuff like that. So I really think having the ability to get a 1.3 boost, a 1.5 boost when I'm under a third is really, really nice, and it can throw off your opponent's calcs to make... So for example, if I had my Moxie Cross and I was at like +2, they wouldn't send out their Crest. But if I just have a regular Cross and I'm at like 1%, they might say, you know what, I'll soak the 80% and I'll finish it off. And so you can lull them into a false sense of security. This is another thing that we're going to start talking about a lot in these videos. The reason why I always do so well with these teams, you may think, for example, like you can't hit something with Storm Drain. You can't hit something with Water Absorb. They don't know that. Like when I'm playing the game, I give off the illusion. I'm a good bluffer. I give off the illusion and I play with my team to force my opponent to respect every option available to that Pokemon. My opponent isn't respecting, if I'm not showing my moves yet, they're not respecting Rest, Sleep, Talk, Curse, Quag. What they're doing is they're respecting Toxic, they're respecting Earthquake, they're respecting Amnesia, they're respecting Iron Defense or whatever sort of other setup moves, because I give off the illusion and I make them respect it. I send them out in situations that force them to respect them, and then I punish them for respecting me. That does so many different things to people. When you force people to respect your options and you just don't commit to them, they start to overthink things, which makes them a lot easier to predict later on because they rein themselves in a little bit. And that's why a lot of my games towards the end, I have such solid end games. It's because I've conditioned my opponent into a specific playstyle enough times where I can understand their habits. And that just comes from me playing Pokemon for like 20 years, right? Back in Gen 4, we didn't even used to have a team preview. Conditioning was a really, really big part of the game. And I think most people need to start playing with the idea of conditioning your opponents into doing certain things. And even if you don't KO something, if you can get your opponent to do literally anything, if you can force them to switch, if you can do this, if you can do that, force them to have the right move in a certain situation, forcing them to do what you want and maintaining control like that is really, really important. So we're just looking at the Heracross here. I like this set. I like counters. A lot of big physical mons in the format, a lot that are faster than Heracross, so I like being able to counter, clock those sashes, and reply back, and it's just my favorite Heracross move set. So good stuff. Last but not least, we're using a Mew. Very, very unique set on the Mew. Stealth Rock, Roar, Roost, Psychic. This looks very similar to like a lot of the OU stuff that I like to run. And it's surprising that Mew is UU. And you can see this moveset isn't even amazing. I just wanted a secondary Rock Setter. I wanted a Roar user just because I want to be able to always go for those Roars. Is my Torkoal running Roar as well? No, it's not. So I always like having at least one Roarmon just to stop people from setting up, and it can also help elongate different forms of weather, different sorts of screens, give a little bit of RNG to the matchup. So Roar is always a really, really good setup move. Also, like a lot of the mons that like set up in this format are going to be psychic types, so I want to be able to come in on those and use my type advantage defensively, soak some damage, roar them out before they can be able to have a problem. Roost is a TM move that Mew also gets, so I want to be able to restore some health sometimes, and just stab Psychic. I have 12 points in speed to outspeed of the base 100s. I want heavy HP, defense, specialty, and these were just 20 extra points because I only need this much to not die to very specific calcs, and I only need this much to not die to, you know, basically any normal special attack in this format. You also have to be very comfortable with your format. Like, for example, let's go take back a look over here, and let's change this to, like, UU. And it'll show every single Pokemon in the tier, right? So what you're going to notice a lot in this tier is that there's a lot of really strong Pokemon. Blastoise is in this tier, Cloyster's in this tier, Omastar's in this tier. Those are 3 big Shell Smash users. They also have a lot of fast things. Aerodactyl 130, Crobat 130, there's Espeon, there's Gardevoir, Heracross, Gyarados, a lot of really good Pokemon. Metagross, Mew, Melodic, Raikou, Porygon Z, Nidoking. 2 different Rotom forms, Slowbro and Heracross, Suicune, Snorlax, Tentacruel. This format's packed full of absolutely amazing Pokemon. So that's why you can see when we go back into my team, we're very, very defensive, right? We have our one sweeper, we have a Sash, and then the rest of our mons, even the Victreebel, is built very defensively. This EV spread is made just enough to outspeed base 130s like Crobat and Aerodactyl, so I can sleep powder them. But I want to be able to soak damage, maybe break 1 or 2 of my opponent's walls, and then from there, I can just come up with a big Victreebel and just start rolling them over with like Weather Ball, Sludge Bombs, Energy Ball, really, really good offensive coverage. So hopefully you guys like all this stuff. If you guys do like this stuff and you want to see more videos like this, please think about leaving a comment in the comments below. I love reading your comments, and hopefully this helps everyone become better players, because that's the whole point. So let's go into the first game. So the first game here, you can actually see, so Gardevoir, there's the Quag, Absol base 130 attack, Crobat base 130 speed, Fortress super solid, and like Linoone, Belly Drum extreme speed, very, very good Pokemon even in these lower tiers. So what do I need to do against this? Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I think I lead Quag here. I'm just gonna say I either lead Quag or Mew. I might lead the Mew just to get my rocks up first, but not Quag or Mew, Torkoal or Mew. Let's just see what I lead. I think I lead Torkoal. Yeah. So we lead Torkoal because I expect the Quag. Just, or at least I want to force the Quag. Torkoal is great versus Crobat. What do you do? Taunt me to stop rocks? I can just go for Fire Plume. If you lead Gardevoir, I just switch to my Quagsire. If you lead Absol, I switch to Quagsire. If you lead Fortress, I fight your Fortress, is why we can lead Torkoal. If we lead Linoone, I can just actually hit it right now with a Lava Plume to make it go under 50% and potentially get a burn to turn off the potential for Belly Drum extreme speed. So really, really good lead to lead Torkoal in this situation. It also sets my drought. So we see the Crobat here. Now the standard reason anyone would ever lead with the Crobat is so they can go, you know, they're not going to be Brave Bird Choice Spam like I am. They're probably going to be like Taunt, U-Turn, maybe Toxic, right? So we see the Toxic turn 1, and I didn't want to get taunted. I just go for the Lava Plume. If I got the burn there, we would have been able to 2-shot them if they weren't Black Sludge, so that's why I went for that. But they don't even go for the taunt, and I'm just going to... It sucks my Torkoal's poison, but we baited it in the Quag. And so I want to talk about this. We go on the next turn. So we soak the Toxic, right? It's totally fine. Now, I know for a fact they don't want to eat that again, and there's not that much that a Crobat can do. If it's a Toxic Bat, it's going to have sets like, it might have Taunt, right, but it's going to have like Roost and a bunch of everything. So either it's going to be Roosting this turn or U-turning. So we scout the U-turn, which means we know we're safe to go for the Stealth Rocks, which is what I go for. And I also know that if they don't want to eat another Lava Plume, they're going to go right into their Quag. So this is a win-win for us, because remember, our Torkoal outspeeds their Quagsire. I'm using EV spreads to my advantage. I'm forcing my opponent to respect a standard wall Torkoal, but in reality, I'm super speedy boy Torkoal. Sonic gotta go fast Torkoal. Pop on the big solar beam, one-shot in their Quagsire. That's absolutely massive on turn 3, and I have Rocks up. They have to send the Crobat out. I know this is only coming out to defog. There's the defog right there. I punish it by using Lava Plume, and you can see we're in a situation here. I've gotten 2 KOs at the cost of a couple of my Sun turns, showing most of my set, getting poisoned, but look at this absolutely massive advantage I'm at, all because I built my team with an idea in mind. I want to outspeed ping Quagsires, and I wasn't going to get turn 1 taunted by Crobat. You got to be stubborn, you got to play to your outs, and stuff like this is really, really important. So I'm expecting Guard. There's the Guard right there. Traces the Drought, and so I'm actually going to see, I see that they use Trace, right? I'm going to use this to my advantage later on in the matchup. So always make sure to note your opponent's abilities and stuff like that whenever you see them. I'm assuming it's Scarf, but I don't know yet. And so I think I switch to something to scout for like Scarf or Specs damage. I go to the Mew. And so I'm like, I'll be able to tell if it's Specs on this swap. And, you know, they went for the Moonblast here. And I thought that was Specs. I thought that was Specs because it did a lot to my Mew, who, if you remember, is full HP, heavy specialty. So I thought it was Specs because we're not going to see Life Orb tick, right? We don't see Life Orb tick. The sun goes away. And so I'm like, okay, they're Specs. I'll deal with that later. But in reality, just giving you guys a heads up, they're actually like Scarf modest. So that's, again, my calcs being a little bit off in my personal opinion. So it's like my fault. Anyways, we soak a second one of these, and I just want to re-get up my rocks because your defog use is gone. It's going to force your Fortress to come in and want to Rapid Spin eventually. And when you do that, I'll bring in my Torkoal, and then I will Lava Plume in your face. I come in with my Heracross here. Now, when I come in with Heracross, this forces them out to Gardevoir. And I'm curious as to why that happened. Because I couldn't have actually one-shotted them with Heracross. I couldn't have one-shotted them. And I'm Sash. They don't know that I'm Sash. But, like, this also kind of tells me, all right, you're some sort of choice item. Because, like, you don't want to get taken to the grinder by this Heracross. You go to your Fortress, which I talked about happening. I want to hit that Fortress as hard as I can to make it so it can't leftovers to restore its sturdy. And we already talked about this. I can go right to my Torkoal. Go right to the boy. And I think they pop the Rapid Spin here, right? And we're actually still faster than this guy. This is where the game gets a little bit weird. I think I just click Lava Plume here. But, because remember, they're not full. But I don't want him to get like +2 speed to outspeed me. So they come in with the Gardevoir. They trace the Drought. Not important this time. We go for the Lava Plume. I would have loved to burn. But you can see now he's within range for Heracross. And all I got to do is recreate the same pin. But this I don't have my Mew to switch to, so it's going to be a little bit hard. So I have to go to Quagsire to soak damage. Quagsire soaks in. You can see it doesn't do that much damage at all. We're totally fine. They go right back into the Fortress. I could have anticipated going to the Torkoal. I just pop a rest because I just want to restore health. And they were still in a situation here where they were low enough to where they were 3 leftovers turns away from being at full with their sturdy. So I switch in my Torkoal. I expect some sort of hazard. There's the hazard. And so right here, I should have just clicked Lava Plume. I should have clicked Lava Plume. It's completely my fault. They're at 98%. This is a misplay for me straight up. I go for the Rapid Spin, thinking it would drop them low enough to not get their leftovers back that turn, and it's my fault. And they just go for the right play, which is Toxic Stalling me and resetting spikes. They know they have to switch back out to Gardevoir, and this is where I use their Trace against them. I knew for a fact if I always sent my Torkoal when there wasn't like Sun Up or no way to activate Sun, if they switch in Gardevoir, they're always going to have to switch in, reactivate the Sun. Unfortunately, I don't get the burn again, but if I would have got the burn there, I just would have switched to Quag and waited out 2 turns. So I have to go to Raikou here. They got a really good turn there with the whole, like, they ended up with spikes, and it was just really bad. And so again, I'm thinking they're Specs. This is where they show their Scarf. They're faster than my Raikou. I'm big sad. And so I have to flounder a little bit. I come with my Victreebel. I go for the Energy Ball KO because, you know, we got that big speed, that big chlorophyll boost. Victreebel's about to pop off, literally. Look at this. They go for the Sucker Punch. Not today. Not in my house. I'm not letting you bandit Sucker Punch, man. I'm going to go for the Sleep Powder. It's going to make your Sucker Punch fail. My last turn of speed control. That was really nice. So go for the Fortress here. I go for the Energy Ball, and I switch out. I want them to feel comfortable fighting my Fortress. My Victreebel. And I need to set the Sun so I can Weather Ball. So Torkoal switches out. They go for a Volt Switch. That was super, super cool. And I think they come out and back with the Absol. And we're totally fine. We don't want to show our Weather Ball yet. We really, really don't because we have to use it on Fortress. So we go for a second Energy Ball. We're using Energy Ball instead of Sludge Bomb because we know they're going to bring the Fortress. And we want to do chip damage. And right here, Weather Ball. Big busted. Biggest busted you ever seen in your life. Weather Ball down for the count. You can bring out all the Mons you want, but like Victreebel don't care. Victreebel just doing big damage. Sludge Bomb time now. Stronger than Energy Ball. Percent chance to poison that Lion Union on the switch. We take out the Absol, easy peasy. The Lion Union comes out here. This is guys known for like Belladrum E-Speed. I'm not going to take the bait and go for Sleep Powder when I just have to get you under half. They also take advantage of me wanting to Sleep Powder and sub. So good note for me not falling for sub basically. They go for the Belladrum, and I still have enough damage to take them out because I am a modest Pokemon using a stabbed 90 base move. So very, very good game. Everything went basically the way that I wanted. I got my Torkoal to work correctly. I was able to outspeed and KO a Quagsire after baiting it in, so lulling them into a false sense of security way they think they have the advantage, because anyone would want to come in on a Torkoal. You know, you bring in your Quagsire, and the Torkoal's like, oh no, my fire attacks, and you're like, I'm going to hit you with an Earthquake. That's a good position for like any Quagsire to be in, so being able to bait them into that, you know, eating out of the palm of my hand and then punch with a Solar Beam, get a couple big KOs, set up my rocks, force your things that have defog and spins in to then lose the said Pokemon that sets the rocks is such a cool way to play, and I really do like it. So that's a great first game. We'll take a look at the next one here. So you can see this team is a little bit more of a Trick Room team. Rhyperior, same type of deal as that Quagsire. 4 times weakness of Solar Beam. And we're in a great spot here. The what is it? The X-Cloud can be a problem. Big Specs X-Cloud with Trick Room can be hard to deal with. Also, Slowking and Slowbro are just like really, really hard Pokemon to deal with. But that's one of the reasons why we're using like a Victreebel. It can come in really, really hot and do a lot of damage to those guys. So let's just start this one off. I think we lead Torkoal again. Torkoal versus Rhyperior, right? Look at this. Torkoal is good versus all these Pokemon. When you lead Rotom, I don't care. I'm a Torkoal. You lead X-Cloud. I know that I do outspeed. You lead Slowking. I know you want to set TR, so I can pop off with my rocks or go for just a turn 1 Solar Beam. I'd probably go for the rocks instead because I want to save this tech hidden. Oxy, I'm not afraid. Rhyperior, you think that you're fine. Rhyperior is faster. It has like a 50 or 60 base speed. So like 70, and remember, it's made for Trick Room, right? So 76 is the lowest it goes, which it might be for Trick Room, and that's still faster than Torkoal would be. But not my Torkoal. Like, I'm a speedy boy. We talked about this. My Torkoal is hanging out at 110. Like, I'm pretty quick. And so I'm lulling you into this false insecurity because I'm giving off the illusion that you have advantage, which is super, super important. And so turn 1, Solar Beam. You dead. Nothing. You ain't got nothing. I'm surprised they didn't just scoop right there. Now we get our rocks off. They go for a Surf. I don't care. I don't care that I took that. I took 69%. That was nice, but that's fine. Get my leftovers tick. I'm just going to switch out. Go right to the Quag because I don't have to do anything. We also see that it's Life Orb Slowking, which is super nice. I want to talk about this. So I switch out to my Quag, right? And I see the Life Orb on that guy on that Slowking, right? So I didn't know how good they were. They're 1248, which is okay. I switch in the Quag to eat the, they Trick Room there. So they just Trick Roomed. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this Slowking will never break the Quag, and they just set Trick Room. What you should be doing in this situation as a good player is you should be switching to something to take advantage of your Trick Room. You should be switching to Rotom to retake out my Quag. If you take out my Quag, I'm in for a bad time. And there's not that much Quag can do to Slowking either, but like, that Slowking can't do anything to this Quagsire. And I don't know if they know that, but they don't. Like, they can't do anything. So I was thinking they were going to switch in the Rotom, and I tried to expect the Rotom to come in. That's what I really expected. I thought they were going to switch out Slowking for Rotom, and I was going to switch in Torkoal to repin. They actually make a really good play and just stay in stubbornly, and they go for a Psychic, which is unfortunate because I lose my Torkoal there. I was trying to get a little bit too good. Also, it would have given them like a Regenerator proc. So I really thought they were going to do that. That's me, you know, outplaying myself a little bit too much. But I do know I'm still in a good spot because look at what's on their team. This gets killed by Mega Horn. Close combat. Mega Horn. Mega Horn. Close combat. As all I really need to do in this matchup is find a way for Heracross to come in safely and I'll be good. So you come with the Fire Blast here. I'm just trying to come in here. I get a Synchronized Burn out of that guy, which is one of the reasons why we actually came in case they want to do something different. And I Psychic there because, again, you should be switching. Like, you see me Psychic there. I could have just Roost and soaked damage, but you have taken all this damage. Use your Regenerator. Switch to something that abuses. Switch to your X-Bot. I was trying to catch these things on switches. Maybe they're just, like, you know, outplaying me Super Galaxy Bane level, or they're just, like, not playing correctly. I don't know. But you're wasting your own Trick Room here. I guess maybe you're not wasting it because I'm playing terribly. And then you get a crit here, which normally wouldn't have KO'd. But, you know, it got a crit. And so I've lost 2 Mons that I shouldn't have lost. So I'm like, fine. I'm just going to go into this Quag. If I know you can't beat it. And again, all I need to do, maybe I'm playing this game a little bit too fast, trying to like preemptively switch them. You see they go for a cool Cycle Shift here, where they give me their status and then their Flame Orb, so they get redo that. And so they basically have 100% accuracy Will-O-Wisp every time they want to use it. Doesn't work because we're Rest, but it's a really, really cool set. And they also Rapid Spin, which is really, really nice for them. Like, I think their team is cool. It's just like, Trick Room has to be played a certain way to be optimal in singles. You need to either Trick Room with something that can abuse it, like Slowking, which couldn't abuse it in that situation, or you need to Trick Room and then switch to something to abuse it. It's not like BGC where you have a teammate do a lot of the heavy lifting. Like, you can Trick Room with something that's weak and then slam in like Choice Specs Eruptions turn 2. Doesn't really work like that. You see Quagsire, we're able to get a couple curses off, and we're able to repin this X-Cloud here. And now the X-Cloud's gone, that's great. And yeah, I just basically need to get into a situation, right, where I can bring out my Heracross and I can just have my Sash active. And we don't know anything about that Rotom set, but we'll be fighting Rotom soon. Here's the Rotom switch in here. And I'm like, okay, there's a couple things that happen. It's either going to go for, this is a switch into the Rotom. We don't see leftovers, right? I want to talk about that. We don't see leftovers. I've been telling you guys, we've done like 3 or 4 of these videos. What does that mean when you don't see leftovers? It means they're a choice item. And if they're a choice item Rotom, they have Trick, right? So we're going to switch to our Victreebel. If you're going to go for a Choice Scarf, Choice Scarf or Choice Specs Thunderbolt, I'm a Grass type. If you're going to go for a Leaf Storm, I'm a Grass type, right? And if you're going to go for a Trick, you're about to be taking a Black Sludge, right? So we're able to see that. Us dealing damage to them let us play a full turn ahead of the game. they get basically poisoned, and now we can just stay in and do whatever. We go right back out to the Quag because we know they can't break it. They get rocks up, which is great for them because it will break our Heracross Sash, and we don't have any more spinners. So they're in an okay spot. And right here, this is where I decide to be weird. Really not weird. I don't need the Quag anymore. This is now the time that I've chosen to win the game. If you want to go for your Leaf Storm, go for it. You can totally take this guy out, but what it's going to do, it's going to give you a special attack drop, and it's now time for me to just come with Heracross and win the game. I will win the game right now. It's time to win the game. You actually do outspeed me, which I was very surprised to see. Like a Rotom is probably like a full speed Trick Rotom. And so I always do think that when you're playing Trick Room, you should try and have at least one Mon that's a little bit faster so your opponent, so you can revenge KO stuff. So it's not bad to see the Rotom be this fast. I think it's actually built correctly. But the reason why we just fought the Heracross there is so that Thunderbolt or Volt Switch wouldn't do that much damage to my Heracross because I wanted them to get the special attack drop. And if they didn't get the special attack drop and they just used the wrong move or something, basically my Heracross, sorry, my Quagsire would have just laughed at them because they've been taking Black Sludge damage. They could have stayed in and tricked the Black Sludge on me too, but then that's just like waste of their time. So they bring in the Uxie to wall the damage, and Heracross doesn't really care. We go for a big Mega Horn. That's 1 KO. We see the Slowking. They're trying to just hope I miss, and we don't miss. Yo, he don't miss. Big Heracross, don't miss. You see the Rotom here. We don't want to eat a big Thunderbolt at neutral, so we switch with the Victreebel. They go for said Thunderbolt. Victreebel doesn't really care. We have the big... sorry, we don't have Black Sludge anymore. Never lucky. But we do have a choice item, so we're going to outspeed it. And, yeah, we just take out the spin to win the game. So, really, really good game. I think that guy was... I think that guy played great. I really think I got in my head a little bit too much, realizing I had such a good matchup with Heracross. So, I lost a couple Pokemon I shouldn't have lost. But, again, these are just my first real plays in the format. So, I'm allowed to play aggressively. Maybe not aggressively. I didn't give my opponent enough respect. I kept trying to, like, anticipate their switches without conditioning them first. So, a lot of people say, like, I never know what my opponents are going to do, and sometimes they just make bad plays and I lose. And that's because you're not taking the amount of time to condition them correctly. You're hoping that they do things. You know, you're expecting them to do something. You're hoping you're going to do it, but you actually have no info on your opponent, and you haven't played a long enough game with them to scout their tendencies yet. So it's like predicting instead of conditioning, which I should have been conditioning a little bit more. But, you know, you can always go into the next one. Here we go. Next one. This guy has... This is a weird game. I don't know why you would use a Hippopotas. Maybe, actually, yeah, Hippowdon is... Actually, is Hippowdon? Yeah, is it OU? Let's check it. Hippopotam. Alright. Yeah, you could use Hippowdon. There's no Eviolite, so I don't know why they're using that one. Maybe it's just sashed and they want to just save it for sand. Credilli's really cool. I can't hit that thing with Quagsire. I can't, but they don't know that, right? I can use that to our advantage. I could have Ice Beam for all they know. But really, really cool team, and let's just get into it. I think I lead Mew this game. Omastar versus Mew. Awesome. And Mew's a cool lead here. Mew, you don't know anything about Mew. It can learn any TM, so it's a really, really solid lead, and I do like to lead with Mew a lot. If there's not something I definitely want to take out turn 1 with Torkoal. I should have just led Torkoal. They would have Shell Smash, and I would have just went for Solar Beam right in their face, but usually these things are built either Sash or White Herb, and that's a little bit too greedy. I don't need to be that greedy. I can just deal with setting my rocks up and going to Quag. But yeah, Mew's okay here because I get my rocks up, and if you want to go for a burn, I synchronize you. I'm okay here. I'm okay here. I just set rocks. I set rocks versus all these things, so we just go for the rocks, right? Set our Stealth Rocks. Note that we're faster before they go for all their stuff, and they get their Shell Smash off. And they have White Herb, so it's going to make it so their defenses are, sent back to normal. I go right to the Quag. Look at this. Ancient Power. And again, I don't care how many boosts you get, if you do even get any, because this doesn't do that much. 27%. It's not going to be enough to break me with my leftovers. So I can just super chill. They're still smashing again, which is actually just going to lower their defenses. Quagsire still does a lot. Look at that. Now we start doing 35% with Waterfalls. We have them on a 3-hit KO with Waterfall, and there's just nothing they can really do. We have to soak a little bit more damage, and then we just win, you know? Waterfall's up. Big Quag. Shell Smash, and they never even heard of it. So there's the Credilli. I can't hit this thing. Now, they could have switched that guy at any time, but then if they did switch that guy at any time, I wouldn't have lost the game to Shell Smash Omastar, which was the whole goal, right? Anyways, this guy's giving me a little bit of the business here with this Credilli, right? You see, I switched in the Mew because I want to see if they have Grass Attack. They go for this Leech Seed. I also expected maybe Stealth Rock, and we take Leech Seed damage. I don't want to give it Leech Seed damage forever. I go to Raikou. I expected another second, like, Leech Seed or like a sub or something, and I was just going to Volt Switch out to then regain position. So I switched a couple times. I showed a little bit of info, but I did relatively safely get into my victory. But what I wanted to do was go to Mew, then switch to Raikou. They'd see the Raikou, and then what would happen is they'd Leech Seed the Raikou slot, because that's what they want to do. They want it. They're obviously a Leech Seeder. So I was then going to Volt Switch, do a little bit of chip, go into Victreebel, who's grass type, to stop that. And then Victreebel might be able to bully this guy off of the board. That's the plan. So we would like you to go poison, but like, yeah, it's not that much damage. And then trading with Ancient Power and then getting a boost. I'm like, all right, crap. Now this is where I have to go back out to my Mew and roar this thing because it's a little bit problematic. And remember, I always said that it's a good idea to have roar. It's for stuff like this, right? Because you don't want to let the... If you got a second Ancient Power boost, I probably would lose the game. So roar here is super, super nice. We see the Sand Slash here. And I'm in a good spot here. We go for a Psychic. We do outspeed. They go for a Rapid Spin. We see Life Orb damage, and they take out our rocks. So good play from them. And then they actually outsped my Mew at +1, which is a really, really cool calc for them. It's probably obviously made to be played with Hippopotas. But Mew's able to take out their Sand Slash, which is nice. And I'd like to be able to reapply rocks. So I'm going to Roost here because I know that thing can't do anything. Purple Pass is cool. It still keeps Body Press, but like we're Mew, so that's why we're fine. We see the Dusknoir. I'm going to outspeed that. I don't really care. So I just go for another rocks. And if you go for something that will burn me, like a Will-O-Wisp, which is what a Dusknoir would do, I don't care. So you go for the Will-O-Wisp, right? I really don't care. I think I'm roaring here anyways because you subbed, yeah. But you still got synchronized through your sub. A lot of people don't know that's how that mechanic works. So they realize that around this point, they can't break the Victreebel. And they can't break the Mew very well. And so I just win the game. Pretty cool game, though. I think I definitely played it my outs. And I took the correct amount of time to condition them and make them play the game I wanted them to. So really, really good stuff. So this game here... This guy's Magneton, Espeon, Heracross, Blastoise, Nidoking, Entei. Really, really good team. Huge good Pokemon. Magneton is actually really, really good. It outspeeds Magnezone by a lot. It's commonly built. It has 32, so it's like a built-in Sash, and it's commonly built Scarfed. But I think this is a good situation. Obviously, I can't just go for willy-nilly rocks because they have an Espeon. So what I have to do is, if I want rocks up this game, I have to put up my rocks in a situation where I'm really forcing them to respect literally anything but rocks. So, like, I have to send out my Mew to fight their Heracross and then, like, rocks it turn 1 or something. Or Mew to fight Nidoking, for example. But we see the Entei lead versus Raikou lead. We got the Legendary Dogs, and you see I just go for a turn 1 Volt Switch. I think this is a good play. They have the Nidoking, but because Raikou gets built in with Scald, if I were to see them switch to Nidoking, I'd have the option to switch to Scald, or I could just switch to, like, my Quagsire if I was really afraid of, like, Scarf Nidoking. So I feel really in control with Raikou here. And so I'm soaking damage. I want to scout for leftovers here. They go for a Sacred Fire, which is obvious. I know I set the sum for that, but Torkoal's really thick. And again, I'm only doing this to scout leftovers so I can understand more about Entei. I also would have been scouting for Scarf Entei. So it's a win-win situation where right from the first turn of the game, I'm scouting for information and dictating how my opponent replies to them, which is me conditioning them into doing what I want later on in the game. So, they switch out the Entei. No leftovers. That's great. Blastoise comes in here. We go for a Lava Plume. I could have Stealth Rocks there, but if you Stealth Rocks... Sorry, if I Stealth Rocks, you switch in Espeon. Espeon will then pin Torkoal from this position, so I wouldn't be able to Rapid Spin it. So that's why I didn't Rocks, right? I really thought Espeon was coming in, and I wanted to be able to catch it on coming in off a Sun-boosted, stabbed Lava Plume with a 30% chance to burn. I really wanted that. But if you come with Blastoise, that's fine. We already talked about this. It's very similar to last game. You could totally go over your Shell Smash. This is what it was. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay. Note that I didn't switch, right? Because I said I have to go for Stealth Rocks in turns where you normally wouldn't Stealth Rock. A turn where I can get you doing literally anything else. And so they're Shell Smashing. I'm going to Stealth Rocks this turn. And remember, we don't have to care about your Shell Smash because we have Quagsire. We do not have to care. We have Quagsire. I do not care about your boosts. That does 17% and I have leftovers, right? It's a good situation. They go for an Ice Beam, which is 25%, which is still not enough. We actually just start going for Curse because I know you can't break me, bro. And there was no reason to Waterfall in the sun. They go for an Ice Beam. They get the Freeze, but we thought. And we get another Curse. We're starting to be a big bully now. And right here, this is going to be weird. Look at this. Oh, they scooped. Oh, was this game? I played one guy. Maybe we'll fight him in a minute. Is it this one? It's this one. This is all right. Similar situation happens in this game. But this guy is 1335. So we're starting to get into the higher ranks now. We're still undefeated up till this point. And we're starting to fight better players. And this guy's a really good team. Base 130 speed Aerodactyl. There's really cool things that Xatu can do. It gets things like screens, and it's built a little bit like Espeon. It gets Magic Bounce, it gets Roost, U-Turn, and it gets Teleport. So it's really, really good at like defensively enabling your teammates that can set up. Look at what can set up. We have Belly Drum, Lionoon, we have Shell Smash Blastoise, we have like Quiver, Sleep Powder, Venomoth, we have like Dragon Dance Flygon. So this team is made for the Xatu to set up and go for Teleport to soak damage, kind of like how we played that Gliscor the other day. You soak all the damage and then come in with something safely. And you can't Stealth Rocks against it because it has Magic Bounce. Very, very cool tech. But But against that situation, I can do whatever I want because I can see this coming a mile away. So all I need to do is do whatever I want for a couple turns, then just go to Quag when you decide to set up. So that's the idea. That's why Quag's so good in this format. It should be OU. So Xatu versus Mew, this is fine. I decided to lead with Mew in case they wanted to go Aerodactyl. So if they went Rocks, I'd be able to Psychic. They should have been taunting a Mew anyways, and then from there, they'd set their Rocks, and I'd be able to KO with a secondary Psychic. So that was my idea, trying to pin the Aerodactyl. But yeah, I don't care about this. You can come with all the stuff you want. You go for a Reflect, you go for Light Screens, I go for Curse. So they Reflect on the switch, they Light Screen, I Curse. And from here, I get a secondary Curse. Note that I went before them here because they're teleporting. So they're going off to switch to something. They go to Venomoth here. Very, very good mon. It gets access to like Sleep Powder, Quiver Dance, Bug Buzz. It can pack Giga Drain, which would suck, but it doesn't. It goes for the Sleep Powder, and that's completely fine. I forced them to hit that there. I actually just went for regular attack. They go for Bug Buzzes, which only deal 28%, and I don't care, right? We just keep trying to, we're just going to start Sleep Talking here. In this turn, I tried to just go for a raw Wake Up, so it didn't work. They actually 3-turn sleep me, basically. But I know I'm going to wake up this turn, so I wake up, and I get my rest off, and all my special D-drops don't come into play here. It's super, super nice, because I don't really have to care. So we can just chill. You know, we just big chill here. There's nothing this Venomoth's going to do. I wait out all their screens, and, yeah, we start chunking it. Big chunking it. So Quag super buffs it. I should probably just be featuring Quag in this thumbnail. But, you know, it's the real hero is like Victreebel and Torkoal, being able to seal games where Quag, like, stops them from sweeping us. So you can go for all the damage you want, but, like, you see there's not that much you can really do. I get my Sleep Talk Waterfall off eventually. And I'm in a great spot. There's not that much you can do. You're coming with the Blastoise. They realize they can't set up here, so they're just going to go for the Scald. They're trying to get the damage off. Waterfall chunks this Blastoise too. And so they go for the Dark Pulse. So they're trying to get the flinch. I wake up, I get flinched. It's like, are you real? This does like 10% more than leftovers, but it puts me within range of hitting Scald. I get flinched again, and they crit me with this one, and I don't get flinched. They got 2 flinches back to back, and then a crit, and then we still won. Right? They switch it to Aerodactyl, but at that point, on their switch, I Sleep Talk a Curse, and like they know they can't win. They actually just like scoop it up. But pretty cool game. Quag's just really good. Like there's so many good setup mons in UU that you have to respect. That like Quag's really good. You should be kind of like me, packing a lot of different grass attacks to deal with their Quags, because Quags are so underrated. And like I said, it should definitely be OU. So here we go. We have, this is the last game here. We see Umbreon, which is a huge problem because it can get big taunts and, like, I can't really do that much against it. And, like, Foul Play still chunks Quag. Even if I get, like, curses and stuff like that, like a crit Foul Play would just ruin me. So that's going to be a hard matchup there. There's the Hippo. We see another Raikou. I think Primeape's a really cool mon here, too. Very, very solid squad. But this is good because Torkoal can come in every single time we ever see that Fortress, and we can just pin it and then go for free rocks or free lava plume or free solar beams on the hippos or something like that. So really, really good game here. I'll just go right into it. I think do I lead Mew here or not? Yeah, Mew's just a solid lead against like all these. If they would lead Umbreon, I'd switch right to the Quag to scout if they actually do have the taunt. If they lead Slowking, I don't care because I get free rocks. If they lead Raikou, I don't think I care that much. I get free rocks. And even if you set up with a sub here, that's one of the reasons why we like leading Mew. I can just roll your sub next turn. So it's like, either way, this is a safe lead that doesn't put me in a losing position versus anything. If you led with Primeape, I would have been able to soak that damage and go for like a rocks. So really, really good play here. They go for the Volt Switch. Takes a lot of damage. I'm thinking maybe that's Specs, because we didn't see Life Orb. And we just get free rocks. Rocks are good. We do take those. I don't want to take this super effective dark damage, so I go right to the Quag. That's a lot of damage on Foul Play. Anytime you do over 25%, it's a lot on Quag. And we do see the taunt on the turn I go for the Curse. So unfortunately, Quag's going to have a really, really hard time breaking this Umbreon. I'm going to have to already get like a +3 or +4 setting up on something else before I can actually start fighting that Umbreon. So they decide to switch. I decide to switch. I go for one Solar Beam just because I want to see how much damage we're dealing here. They go for a Future Sight. I know that I probably shouldn't stay in here. I should definitely be saving this guy to enable Victreebel later. They go for a Nasty Plot, which means I'm going to have to bring in my Quag now, just because like I can't deal with all this. And I soak a Fire Blast here, and they crit. I'm really surprised that KO'd. I think even at +2 you wouldn't have KO'd. Actually, maybe it's in the sun. I would have died anyways, but I thought I was fine versus like Scalds and Psychics, so good play from them. We go to the Victreebel. We force in the Hippo, who has the same weakness to Grass here, and we're just in a great spot. This also enables my Victreebel to Weather Ball for a Rock-type attack if I wanted to. Like, I could have just stayed in and went for the Rock Weather Ball and done neutral damage, and that would have been sick, but I don't want to show that I have Weather Ball yet. Don't want to show that I have Weather Ball yet. I go for a... Actually, I want to talk about that. I go for a Sleep Powder here. You may be thinking, why would you Sleep Powder a Fortress that can totally have Overcoat? I just figured they wouldn't have Overcoat, right? That's basically it. Like, Overcoat's really good, and I personally do run Overcoat in a lot of these formats because Sleep Powder's really, really good. But I was like, you know what? I don't want Hazards up against me, and I'm a little bit behind. They still have 6 mons. I only have 5. But I want to then... I still have my rocks, and I want to be able to maintain them, make so you can't Rabbit Spin me. So, on the switch to the Fortress, you know, we Weather Ball. We go for a... we go for an Energy Ball that puts them within range where there's still like 3 turns out of Leftovers Recovery, and I can just switch in my Torkoal after the Sleep Powder and then repin. And then it's going to force their Slowking in. That'll force my Quag in. So I've already... Once I saw... this, I set up that whole turn. I was going to Energy Ball, Sleep Powder, Hard Switch into Torkoal, Hard Switch into Quag. That's 4 turns ahead just from getting this one Energy Ball off. So that's how far ahead you have to be thinking in conditioning your opponents and forcing them to respect your options. You can see every single one of these turns, my opponent is reacting to what I am doing, and I'm keeping up the momentum by going even further and further. So every single time I go into the Torkoal here, then I go into the Quag, you know, they'll be in the Slowking, and they should be coming in with Umbreon and doing all those things after setting like a Future Sight, but, you know, this is forcing them to take Rocks damage every time, so it's small victories for me. So you can see, we go into Heracross. Why did I go into Heracross here? Heracross is a greedy play, but we had Sash. I think going to Heracross because we knew it was going to Future Sight, and this is a good position, and then I think I switch out from Heracross within like 2 turns, because I want to go for my Mega Horn here. And I think I missed the Mega Horn. So yeah, I took 1 turn. Hey, that's changing the formula. But I know I have to switch to Quag eventually, because I have to take that Future Sight attack. So right here we switch in. They go for a U-turn, which tells a lot. It tells me that's banded, and they go back into Slowking. So it's everything ended up eventually the same. And that Slowking cannot break my Quag, I think. Like it can't. I just go for the rest. Then we're totally fine. Like you can Future Sight me all you want. Yeah, we're gonna be here for a little bit. But he can't break me. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. I'm going to sit here and drink my coffee. You can see Nasty Spots all he wants. It doesn't really work in this situation because we have Unaware. And, yep. Nice flinch waterfall. You don't really see that often from Quagsire. But yeah, we just wake up. Eventually we're going to get, like, curses. I think I'm just going to speed this one up a little bit. So, like, you can see he can't break us. It just doesn't work. You know, we have to eventually. So what's going to happen? He realizes he has to go like Scald. He has to go Future Sight into Scald, and that's still not enough. You need actually one of those 3 things to crit because they do like 28%, 28%, and like 33%, and I have leftovers, right? So you'd have either had to like knock off my leftovers at some point or crit one of your moves. And even if you do, I'm getting you low enough to where like I can always just bring out the Heracross. And so I'm just playing super, super defensively. They finally come up with a Primate here, but you don't remember what I said. We're gonna rest right here. Remember how I said, once I get my boost up here, I don't care what your Umbreon does because I'll just one-shot it. Like, you could have always taunted me. You could have routed that Umbreon so much sooner, and I would have had to switch again. But again, you would have been taking Rocks damage, and I would have been able to switch to, like, Victreebel, go for Sleep Powders, and be a bigger bully. Or even Heracross, switch in and just be a bully from there. But now I'm too fed. I'm way too big now, to where, like, I don't really have to care about it. So they switched to Primate here. Because also, I was PP stalling the Future Sight, which is a really, really good way to play it. And I get my rest off, and they just scoop it up. They just scoop it up. Pretty easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You had 6 mons, and you couldn't break the Quag. So if you have 6 mons on your team, and you can't break a Quag, maybe you got to go back to the drawing board. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys liked this video where I showed off a bunch of really, really cool Pokemon that I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of Victreebel. I'm a big fan of Torkoal. I'm a big fan of Heracross. And I think this team is just a really, really good one. So hopefully you guys like this. If you guys did like this, think about it, let me know in the comments. I love reading all your comments, and I've been liking uploading like Showdown-esque content just because it gives me the option to use a bunch of different Pokemon with different EV spreads, egg moves, and things like that. Obviously, I'm still uploading BDSP in-game content as well. I just don't have all the Pokemon to do that until like Pokebank comes out and I can trade over stuff from Sword and Shield. So thank you for bearing with me in this time. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you guys did learn something, think about it, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you guys next time.